Welcome to week 3 of the Pantry Challenge. My name is Laura. I'm from Eastern Iowa. I was going through my pantry and I found this jar of couscous. To be honest, I'm not really sure when I bought it last. Might have been in our old house, and we moved into this house in 2018. So yeah, I definitely want to get that used up. So I figured I'd thaw some chicken breasts and do some sort of creation to use it up. So I'm going to cook my chicken breast in this cast iron with some olive oil and butter. And I'm going to throw salt, pepper, and my garlic and herb seasoning on it. Sear it up on both sides, and I'm going to stick it in the oven at 350 and just kind of let it finish cooking in there. My chicken was still a little bit frozen. So it took me a minute to realize that there were 2 breasts in each bag, and I had to separate them. So this is the jar I found hiding in the back of my pantry. So I took some tomatoes, because I still have a bunch left. I cut them up, cut up an onion, and now I'm just waiting for my chicken to bake. So it baked for about 30 minutes. This is what it looked like. I'm just gonna take it out of the pan and put it on a cutting board so I can use the pan to make the couscous and the veggies. So to my chicken drippings, I'm going to add my onions and some garlic and some salt and pepper. I'm going to go ahead and throw my couscous in and let it toast a little bit before I add my liquid. Now I'm going to add my water, which I'm later going to add some chicken bouillon to it because I don't have chicken broth. And for a little touch of green, some parsley. If I had fresh, that probably would have been ideal in this situation. Finally tossing in those few tomatoes that I cut up, stirring them in. Now I just ended up cutting my chicken into some big chunks, and I'm just going to lay them on top and mix them into my couscous and veggie mixture so that I can throw it back in the oven at 350 for about 10-15 minutes just to get the couscous cooked and the chicken rewarmed. As you can tell, I did decide to add more water to it. I was terrified it was going to burn in the oven or get too dried out. So I'm going to pop this in the oven and come back in about 10-15 minutes. I went ahead and fluffed it up, and I'm going to go ahead and get my son's in his bowl so it can cool. To be honest, this wasn't my favorite. I don't know if it needed more salt or more seasoning, but it was just a little bland. It might have been better had I've used like a good chicken bone broth. So today I'm going to start by making dessert. I found a couple cans of like these fried apples that I wanted to get used up, so I decided to make like a apple cheesecake bar, or at least that was the goal. So I'm buttering my pan here so nothing sticks. For my base layer, I'm going to use 4 of these 8 crescent rolls and kind of make them an even layer on the bottom. I really don't know how long these had been in my fridge. They were not expired, but they felt different. They crumbled easily. So it was more like a patchwork quilt to get them in the pan. And then usually when I try and pinch them together, they stick. So I'm not sure, but I should have known because it was in a bag and not one of those tubes. But I did the best I could and got 4 of them pressed into the bottom. So I am going to par bake this base just for like 5-8 minutes and get started on my filling. For my filling, I've got 1 full block of cream cheese, half a cup of sugar, splash of vanilla, and I'm just going to get that a good mix, get it well incorporated, and I will set that aside until my base layer comes out from par baking. So these are the 2 cans of apples I found in the pantry, and I'm going to drain the juice. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it or if I'm going to use it, but I know I don't want that on top of my cheesecake layer. So now that the crust has par baked, I will add my cheesecake layer on, get that all spread out nice and even. So I'm just going to spread these apples out in an even layer on top of my cheesecake mix. So now we're going to take the other 4 crescent rolls out of that package and puzzle piece them onto the top. Normally I would do melted butter with cinnamon and sugar on top, but since this is just sugar with a little cinnamon left over from those apples, decided just to use that. It'd be about the same. And with normal crescent rolls, because there's something wrong with these ones, let's be real, it just looks like a sheet of crescent rolls. There's no holes or anything, but working with what we got, and it'll be fine. So we'll throw this in the oven and come back in about a half hour and check on it and make sure the top crescent roll is completely cooked through. Here it is right after it comes out of the oven, and we're gonna let it chill in the fridge. Enjoy part of this for a midday snack, but this will be after dinner, and it was really good. Oliver ate a ton of it. Husband liked it. I liked it. It would be better next time with normal crescent rolls instead of whatever these things were. We happen to have some Ready Whip left over from the holidays, so we topped it off with some of that and sat down to enjoy dessert after dinner, which you'll be seeing dinner here next in this video. It's taco night. We need something that will feed us for a couple days because Wednesdays are very busy days and we usually don't have time to cook. So I'm going to cook 2 pounds in hopes that we will have leftovers for enough for 2 dinners and 2 days worth of lunches as well. So we'll get this browned up and get going. Be able to pull cheese out of the freezer that was already shredded, so we're going to have to shred our own for tacos tonight, which is just fine. I'll just go ahead and cut a knob off, and I'll put the rest of the block back in the fridge, trying not to touch the cheese itself with my fingers. That way it just helps it last a little longer, and then we'll start shredding and try and get enough, at least just for dinner tonight. We can always shred more for tomorrow. Ground beef is all browned, and this is our favorite taco seasoning right now. I have made my own. I have a really good recipe for my own, but my season of life right now, I'm giving this one to myself. I'm using it. So we'll add a whole bunch in, and I'm going to let it toast up a little bit before I add some water to it. I did run into the grocery store today. My son needed milk, so I got milk, and then I also picked up some lettuce so we could have some with our tacos. I'm going to work on getting Oliver his taco. We love these shells. They're our favorite. Guilty pleasure. So we'll start with 1 for him. He does end up actually eating 2. But 1 to start. Everyone builds their taco differently. We like to start with a base of cheese. That way it gets nice and melty and it kind of serves as a layer so the shell doesn't get all soggy. I had him put some taco meat on it. Here's the lettuce I bought at the grocery store here in town. Put some lettuce on it. Gotta have some avocado on it. This is just what's easiest for us to have, as we don't have fresh avocados. So I'll put some on his taco for him. He enjoys spice, so I put a few drops of Cholula on it for him. And to balance that out, I also add a little bit of some homemade ranch we have in the fridge. So here's Oliver's first taco. He did end up having 2, and he loved it. Tonight we're going to have quesadillas with leftover taco meat. We're also going to have this tomorrow night, as we won't be able to cook tomorrow. And a couple more tortillas from Costco. So yeah, I'm just going to cook the tortilla fully on the one side, flip it, and not cook it fully on the other side, because I don't want it to overcook once I add the meat and cheese to it. Take the cheese and grate it right on top of the tortilla. Get a nice layer before we add our meat. Throw some meat on. I did warm it in the microwave to make it easier to spread. Grate a little bit more cheese on top to ensure that the top tortilla sticks. And again, we're going to add some Cholula because we love Cholula. We'll get it folded in half again and put back on the cast iron to finish cooking that other side of the tortilla and to get the inside cheese all nice and melty. Now this one's Oliver's, and Mama's favorite kitchen tools, I swear, are kitchen shears. So look at that. Delicious. So I'm just going to cut it into some triangles so it's easier to eat. And he gobbled it right down, which is always a win. We did end up having quesadillas for lunches for a couple days as well. Tonight's chili night, but I have no beans, so I'm just going to cook some quick in the Instant Pot, about a cup's worth. So those cooked. It's now a few hours later. I'm going to go ahead and drain them. And I'm going to use the same Instant Pot, crock pot, express pot, whatever, to make the rest of my chili. And so I'll just drain these and have them set aside. I'm going to just brown my ground beef in my pot here. I'm doing 2 pounds because I'm hoping to get many meals out of it. Chili tonight, chili dogs tomorrow night. I'll let this get brown and I will run downstairs and get my home canned goods to finish out this chili with. While I was going through some stuff in my cabinets, I found some of these seasoning mixes, so I'm going to throw it in and let it get toasted before I add my liquid to it. I'm only adding 1 instead of 2 because my chili base that I have home canned has all the seasoning in it already. We also have a little bit of taco meat left. I'm going to use that up in this as well. We'll throw our beans in and give those a good stir. So first I'm going to add this quart-sized jar of this chili base I made. It's got the tomatoes and a whole bunch of seasoning in it. And then I've got a quart of just diced tomatoes, no seasoning, just plain. Throw those in. I also have a partial jar of salsa left over from making a queso, so I'll use that up as well. We like it a little spicier, so I'm going to add some dashes of Tabasco in there. I did bring up a pint of chili base as well. Didn't know if I was going to use it. I forgot to show it, but I did actually add it in as well. So I'm just going to let this cook all afternoon and we'll come back at dinner. The night got away from me, so this is actually lunch the next day. And like I said, I did end up adding that pint of chili base in it. And yeah, we had this for lunch. My makeshift grater was in the dishwasher, so I just cut off a slice and put chunks in it and ended up microwaving it to get the cheese melty. But we don't have any hot dog buns, but we really want chili dogs, so I'm going to attempt to make them for the first time. I will leave a link to this recipe in the description of this video. I'm using my scale to find out how large of dough balls I need to try and get them uniform so they all bake at the same amount of time. I found out very quickly that I don't know how to shape anything that's not a circle. So I will definitely need more practice, but who cares? As long as it tastes good, right? Gonna let it rest for about 45 minutes. Once it's doubled in size, throw together a quick egg wash and brush the tops. Throw them in the oven, and this is how they look when they come out. They're a little ugly, I'll admit, but they're really good, and I don't know that we'll be buying store-bought buns anymore. These are the hot dogs I found in my freezer. They ended up having pineapple in them, which is fine, and I finally got cheese out of the freezer. So I'm going to get Oliver's chili dog made up, and he's lucky enough he gets the first bun. Look at that nice pull action like you would get from store-bought, only better, and I did have to taste some of that, and it was mighty, mighty delicious. I think one thing I really like about this Pantry challenge is it challenges you, you know? It'd be really easy just, look at that, gorgeous. Would be really easy just to go to the grocery store and pick up a pack of buns for, you know, $1 or $2, but through this it's making me kind of learn. Got a scoop of nice hot chili on his hot dog, and I'm going to add some cheese to it. I'm just going to throw it in the microwave so that the cheese can melt a little for him, and this is what it looked like. He devoured it. Today is Saturday, and we're having some family over tonight for dinner, so I thought I would make a dessert, and I found a recipe for this apple fritter cake, which works perfectly because we have some apples that are starting to go soft. I did make a couple tweaks to the recipe. I didn't have Granny Smith jumbo apples. I had some medium-sized apples, so I used a couple more. We don't typically have this many desserts in a week. We usually don't even have one. So this is kind of unique for us, but tonight's a special treat. I still have about 4 apples left. that I need to use up soon. So if you have any ideas, let me know. If you do decide to make this, do yourself a favor and drizzle just a little bit of lemon juice on those apples to help them not get so brown. It's not as noticeable because you have the cinnamon, but still. I really liked that this called for Greek yogurt. I forgot I had it in the fridge, so it needs used up, so I think we're gonna probably have smoothies next week. The other thing I liked about this recipe is it gave the measurements in grams. Next time I go to make this, I will make half the amount of glaze. I just felt like it was too much sugar because you have all the sugar in it, plus the sugar swirl. It was just a lot of sugar. Cut it in half next time. We're gonna have chicken wings tonight. I do have a video where I show how I make this, so I will link that video in the description of this video so you can find it. Our family that's coming up is bringing potato salad, so we're going to enjoy potato salad and some chicken wings, and the kiddos are going to have chicken nuggets and mac and cheese with pears, and we're just going to have a good time, and the boys are getting haircuts. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. Dinner was great. We had an awesome week. I hope everyone did as well, and I hope everyone has an even better week next week. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you next week.